Now, there are graphic videos of abduction. As many as 100 people have been held hostage. The Israeli army spokesperson says the count is substantial. They were kidnapped from the music festival from border communities. From Be'eri, Nahaloz, Raim, Kesufim and Derot. Many residents from these neighborhoods have been reportedly captured. Israeli resident Yoni Asher saw a video on social media of his wife and two daughters being kidnapped. They were crammed onto the back of a vehicle by Hamas. Asher had spoken to his wife earlier on Saturday. She had said she was hiding from Hamas operatives. Hamas claims to have also captured more people on Sunday.
We announce, with God's help, that a group of fighters were able to capture a new group of enemy prisoners during the day and take them to the Gaza Strip.
The armed wing of Hamas, the Al-Qassam Brigade, also claims to have captured soldiers, at least a dozen Israeli soldiers, it says. Where are they and in what state? Little to nothing is known. The Al-Qassam Brigade spokesperson said in a telegram post that the Israeli soldiers have quote-unquote been secured in safe spaces and resistance tunnels. What about the civilians? What did the Hamas operatives do with these civilians after dragging them into Gaza? Let me remind you that it is not just Israeli citizens who have been taken hostage. Reports also talk about 2 Mexicans being kidnapped, 3 Brazilians, at least 1 student from Nepal, and at least 1 British national. We were just telling you the story of Jake Marlowe, how he was working as a security guard at the music festival and is now missing. There are also reports of German citizens being kidnapped and at least 11 Thai nationals. So you have people of at least 6 nationalities, apart from Israelis, who are currently in a hostage situation in Gaza. Reports say these hostages have been scattered across numerous locations, all far from the border and present in quote-unquote all axes in the Gaza Strip. This is what the Al-Qassam Brigade is saying. It has warned Israel that attacks in Gaza could pose a threat to hostages. In other words, airstrikes could kill its own citizen. Fleeing these hostages would require a large incursion and complex raids. Now, incursion is something that Israel appears to be preparing for, but raids could be risky. What about the possibility of a deal? Now, that's something that Hamas wants. History has a story. In 2006, an Israeli soldier was taken hostage. His name was Gilad Shalit. He was all of 19 and captured from the Israeli side of the border fence. Hamas kept Shalit hostage for nearly 5 years, after which he was exchanged for over 1,000 Palestinian prisoners, 1,027 to be precise. This practice has long been followed in the history of this conflict. Chances are, this time too, it will be no different. Hamas would want to keep the hostages alive and exchange them for Palestinian prisoners. But then again, this time is different. This is wartime. Over 700 families are mourning their dead in Israel. They want justice. Not for Prime Minister Netanyahu to cut a deal with Hamas, who has been holding hostage mothers, elderly women, infants, entire families. They are currently hostages. Earlier this evening, Reuters reports that Qatar mediators have held urgent calls with Hamas and that Qatar is trying to negotiate the freedom of Israeli women and children from Gaza. This, Reuters reports, is in exchange for 36 Palestinian women and children who are currently in Israeli prisons. Now, according to a Palestinian NGO, Adamir, there are at least 5,200 Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails, and Hamas says that they have captured enough hostages to release all prisoners. For more analysis, joining me now again is Helit Barel, the former director of Israel's National Security Council. She joins me tonight from Tel Aviv. Welcome back to WION, Helit.
Thank you.
Now, I think what everyone wants to know is how are the hostages doing? Negotiations are in for their release. How hopeful are you at this point?
I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned. My main reason for concern is that we are talking about a terrorist organization, not a state, that is holding these people. It is not an organization known for its humane treatment, not only even of its own population, so let alone of Israeli Jewish citizens. So I'm very, very concerned. As for the negotiations, I really can't tell at this time how serious this is. Yes, Qatar is a mediator that might have some play with Hamas. I understand Egypt is also involved. I think it is immensely important that both those nations, along with the entire international community, impress upon Hamas that the well-being of these hostages, women, children, babies, sometimes under one, is 100% completely on them and on those who back them. And that this is not something that people will stand by.
Right. Heleth, you're in Tel Aviv right now. Describe for me the state of the city as of now. We're hearing that streets are empty in the otherwise bustling city.
Yes, Tel Aviv, as you might know, is very cosmopolitan, very up all day, all night. What you see behind me now, the sky is clear, but that's not what's going on for a lot of the time. We have rocket fire, not so much yesterday, but again today. So people are called to stay near shelter, which is the explanation for why we're not running around in the streets. Kids are at home. My children are with me. They don't go to school. And so that's another situation where people aren't working. They're hunkering down with their children. Clearly, Tel Aviv is not what it usually is. But the rocket issue, we're used to. We know how to handle this. There's Iron Dome. And this is not something that will impair the stamina of the Israeli people.
Right. Hayley, thank you so much for your updates. And thanks for joining us again on WION World is One.
Thank you.
WION World is One is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.